Oh, shit. Ah. Update for anybody who's interested, because I'm a YouTuber, and you know, I do it. I do it for the glory, but I keep doing it for the creds, or something like that, whatever. And a lot of people count on the quality content that I produce, so I can't let my online fam down, you know. 'Cause that's what we are. We're a close knit fam, We're a very elite club, So, to quote John Wick, in John Wick style, right, family, close knit. That sounds legit. Anyway, so they turned me around and sent me home as soon as I walked in the door. Now, if I was a Wonder Boy, I would have called work and said, "Hey, I'll be right there." But I'm not a Wonder Boy. Um, my job really isn't super critical if I'm not there. I mean, they hired me to do something that was, kind of a pain in the ass, for the other loader to do, because it's important that I just keep that machine fed. It kind of takes a long time to stockpile the finished product. There's a lot of shit for me to do. In the meantime, like I said, I'll go over here and then do this and move that over there and then put this over here and then do a couple things with that and then do a couple things with this and okay, I'll go make sure this is fed. But pretty much it's pretty casual. I've got a lot of different things going on, but I just sort of wheel about, scooping different types of material and putting this shit in this pile and this shit in that pile and spreading that shit out. And scooping that shit up and putting it in the pile, and it's just a pretty easy gig. But it was kind of fun the other day. I must have moved probably like 500 tons of material in an hour. I mean, I was running that bitch. So, but anyway, I did some shopping and stopped by a couple different places. I did buy some food. I got a egg McMuffin because I haven't had one of those in a long time, and I do like those. I like those McGriddles too with the pancake stuff or whatever. Not to sound like a fat fuck, but went to the grocery store. Got some basic groceries. Like I said, I do want to start pre-making my healthy meals. I'll still eat them when I get home, so I can eat all my food in my 4-hour window, the fast. And then like I said, a 48 hour, which actually ends up being like a 20, no. It ends up being like a 2-day fast, once a week, once a month. Do like a 3-day fast, where it's just like, no food, just water. And then like twice a year, I should do like a 7-day water fast, as sort of a reset. And then I should do like a 7-day. I'll have to write this down, instructions, but you kind of want to shock the body, and the body adapts, right? So the secret is shock the body. That's how you get in like, good workouts and don't have to spend all your time, doing that whole, it's every man's responsibility part-time to work out, and it's like 45 minutes on my fire. I can get in a 45-minute workout in 20 minutes. It makes no sense. That's because you're you. But that's the secret. But so the body will adapt. So you always got to keep it guessing. You got to shock it. Go to failure. For results, and switch it up, and go to failure with heavy weights. Go to failure with light weights. Blah blah blah. Cardio, like I said, every 2 minutes, do something else. Don't just jog for 20 minutes, sprint, fast jog, walk, fast walk, sprint. Anybody got time for that fucking workout bullshit? Come on now, I got things to do. I'd rather sit around the rest of my time. Watch a movie, maybe go outside and stare at the sun, or do something productive. It's always an option. But anyway, I was going to do some shit today, but changed my mind because I thought, you know what? This wasn't, well, I could have done, it's going to rain, and stuff. And I got some other stuff, and I was going to do some battery stuff. I need to buy a new battery for the whatnot. I thought, nah, I should have thought of that before, because now I'm going to have to make a special trip. And I just, I'm wasting fuel, wear and tear on the vehicle. So wasting fuel, more pollution, more money. So I'm buying gas faster, wearing out the tires, the suspension. All these little things that everybody thinks about if you tend to overthink things. But the thing is, I'm not overthinking things. It's just how I think. Like just instantaneous. It's not like I stress over it. It's just like widespread, just buckshot, Nah, I think I'll just chill. I could do all this shit, but no. Because I didn't think of it beforehand. So fuck it all anyway. But, anyway, so I just, by the time I got home, it was kind of almost noon, so, kind of started to do some stuff, and then, like I said, I was like, nah, you know what, I'm just going to chill today, I stopped by Qdoba, and McDonald's. Yes. It's not like I spent $50 at each location. I just bought a big fat fucking burrito and 2 Egg McMuffins because they're small. And I bought some donuts at King Soopers and at 1% chocolate milk. So, and some other miscellaneous stuff. But at Qdoba and McDonald's, so, but, anyway, well, I was driving home, and I was like, hey, McDonald's, I should get an Egg McMuffin. That's funny. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But Egg McMuffins are the shit. And so are the McGriddles. And, yeah. And they still taste the same as they always did. The new blood on the scene hasn't changed it. And I am surprised. So, anyway. So they turned me around and I told my mom, because I keep everybody in a loop, group text. And, well, just my mom and my dad. My sister, just the big stuff. She doesn't care about little things like that. I just sort of kind of keep everybody informed. She texted me back, LOL. And she said, I thought maybe you were going to get the guy who escaped, when she had jury duty, because she actually got selected. And the case that they were going to judge, the guy escaped. So, and she lives in a different county, but it's still just like a municipal, it's like that's where it's being held. And then they'll, send him to, wherever, depending on what this crime was, county jail or federal prison or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of funny. Just made me think of that. And then I texted the guy. I haven't texted him in 3 months. And it's always just a quick, hey, it's me, just checking in about the deuce and a half. And I texted him again, and he actually texted me back. And, I figured I'd give him some time and then, call him. Because summer's coming to an end, right? So this is going to be easier to do, in the summer, either spring, summer, or fall. Because winter, it adds another element of pain in the ass. Cold temperatures, equipment that isn't running right, or worse, or has to be resurrected. Just slick roads, longer travel times. And it takes away your options because things are either slick, cold, wet, slushy, messy. And he actually, his place of business is down there a fair amount from me. I think he's actually about 4 hours, and he's going to tow it up here just as a regular job. He's short-handed, but he actually texted me back, said, I got it out, blah blah blah. I'll try and make time. I think he said by the end of next month. So I'm not counting on it, but I'm glad that he texted me back. Didn't just, because I remember he said that, he's I haven't forgot about you. You probably think I have, but I haven't. And he's polite about it, and I'm not bothering him, I would text him, maybe once a month, just a quick, hey, it's me just checking in, and then I wouldn't bug him. Like 1 month I'd text him, and the next month I'd call. Maybe he'd answer. If he didn't, I'd leave a quick message. Then I kind of got, to where I was just sort of texting him, like I said, about every 2 or 3 months, just a quick what have you, look into things, maybe eventually I would get a ride down there and just bring it back. But the thing is, it's not insured. Especially now, I need to make sure it's legit if I'm going to drive it. I don't have a trailer that's a deuce and a half, as far as its actual curb weight is just a little bit too heavy for the trailers that I have. Remember, everything has to be legal. So if a cop or state patrol sees me, pulling it on a flatbed car hauler, he's probably going to pull me over and say, that should really be on a such and such ton rated gooseneck, instead of a, bumper pull, with the rear axle hanging off the ass end, or something, right? So I'm not going to fuck with shit like that. Because number one, it's not safe. There's a reason it's illegal, right? That's the last thing I need is to, something go bad wrong and I cause seriously, body harm or death, to somebody, or property damage. If I damage someone's mailbox, they're going to want their pound of flesh. And sometimes things can get a little tricky. Like what else could have gone wrong? Reckless endangerment. Oh, sure, a deuce and a half fell off your trailer and just rolled into this person's lawn and into their pool, and caused, tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage. But you could have killed somebody's son. And you ain't exactly a spring chicken anymore. You should know better, you son bitch. We're going to hang you. I'm going to throw the book at you, motherfucker. You ought to know better. I was chilling in my backyard in my pool the other day. That could have been my family, you asshole. So you got to think about, these things. Know what you don't know. Try and predict the future and know everything there is about everything. And if you don't know it, well, then know it anyway. It's just that simple. So, I got a deuce and a half with my name on it. I want it. I don't need it. I want it. I totally don't need it at all, but I want it. And I'm still going to work at getting it. Everything else can wait.